Hello, and welcome back to Common Sense for Relationships. Common Sense for Relationships. Oh yes, you're welcome. And my name is Aniete Bature, and you know what I always do? I try to bring you valuable information to help you make better decisions in your relationships and in your life as a whole. So today is another one of such days, and I'm really happy to be here. How are you doing? How is life with you over there? How is everything with you, with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones? How is business? How is your career? How is all of that going? Yeah, it's important to ask because so much is happening in this day and age, and it's important to just check on your friends, check on your people, see how people are doing, because if you want to just assume that everybody's fine, you may find out that you're really wrong. And if you also want to assume that nobody needs you, or they are okay where they are, you may also find out that you're really wrong. There are some people who a call from you, right, a chat, a text message, some degree of communication from you will just make their day a little better. So please reach out to your loved ones, reach out to your friends, reach out to your classmates from school, and just make sure everyone is okay. And you just might find that you're able to put a smile on somebody's face with just a call. All right, so today I want to ask a very interesting question. And that question is this. When will you get married? When will you get married? Or when do you plan to get married? You can put it that way. Because some people say, well, I'm not really in control, I can't really say, and so on. But when will you get married? Or when would you like to get married? Or when do you plan to get married? Okay, so that's something to think about. And if I look at myself, when I was growing up, I used to say I'll get married at 24. That was my plan, that was my dream. 24! Because I assumed I'd be done with the university by 21, 22. I didn't realize that ASU and co, At that time, I was still thinking, do my 6 years, do my 6 years, do my 4 years, and I'm done. But by the time I got to uni, I found out that life had other plans. And so instead of the usual time, we spent some extra time. And I was planning 24. Okay. Then I read a book. And this book said the best age to get married is 27. And the guy's argument was, you're getting married in 2 years' time. Fantastic, Martins. I see you. Thanks for joining us. So the guy said the best time to get married was at 27. And he had a reason or reasons for this. So he said, first of all, by 27, most people already have completed their education. They've gotten their first or second or third job. There's a good degree of stability in their lives. Like they know exactly where they're going to live or where they are going to do their business. They have gotten their degrees, right? So if they wanted to do a first degree, master's, probably they are done with all of that. So they know exactly, to a great extent, what their lives would be like. So you're not expecting a major change if you get married at 27, So you're not expecting that after you get married, your spouse says, oh, by the way, I want to do another degree. And this other degree is going to be in this other country, so we need to be apart for like 4 years while I get that degree. Or maybe you need to drop all you are doing and follow me so that I go and get the degree and you support me while I'm getting it. Those kinds of major changes are less likely after 27, according to the guy. So back then I read the book, it made sense, and I was like, yeah, I think that's cool. So I changed it my own age, right, from 24 to 27, and I started targeting 27. I'm going to get married by 27. And I actually got married at 27. So I had a plan. I had it all written out. Quite interesting, right? I had it all written out. I'll do this. I'll do that. Somebody said 27. Esther. I had it all planned. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll finish this. I'll finish that. and then I'll get my job. I had it all written out. I'll get my job, and then we'll get married and all of that. And I pasted it on my wall. Yeah. And in fact, I had the name of the person I was going to marry written. That's a story for another day. Let's not go too much into that. But 27 was my target, and by God's grace, I got married at 27. So now this is it, right? That's just one argument or one point of view. What are the other things that you should consider when you are deciding what age you will be when you get married? Is it just random, or do you just leave it all to chance? Like, well, whenever the right person comes along, or whenever I find the right woman, or whenever someone comes and asks me to marry them. What about your own plans? What's your plan? What's your plan? What's your desire? What do you want to do? When do you want to do it? Where do you want to be? How do you want to be? All of it. Just think about your life. Have a plan. It's good to have a plan, your own plan, so that by the time someone else comes along, you can see if there's synergy, see if you guys rhyme, see if the thing is flowing, rather than somebody just comes and says, hey, and then you say, okay, and then no plan. No, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. And if you allow me to digress here, this matter where some people come and tell somebody, you just came and now you're telling me that God said that I am the one. Why didn't God tell me too? So that we'll just know that, okay, he spoke to you and he spoke to me. So this is my problem with that. Let me just tell you what my problem is. My problem with that is this. When you come and tell me God said, it's as if you're trying to tell me to suspend my brain, suspend my plans, suspend my desires, my ambitions, my preferences, and just say, yes, sir, and follow you because God said. Seriously? That's just not proper, okay? Even if God told you, allow God to convince me, and then it will really be in alignment with the fact that God told you something, right? And then for the person who is listening to this God said story, do you know who this person that is telling you God said is? Are they? What is their relationship with God like? How do you have any track record to know that yes, when God told him things in the past, it came to pass, or you just assume that it must be that it is okay? I don't understand all of that. We'll talk about that some other day. Let me not go too far away from what we are addressing today, which is what age. What age do you want to be when you get married? You have to have your own plan, and there's certain things that you need to consider, okay? So another thing you should consider, apart from all of these ones that I've told you I read about, you need to think about maturity. How mature are you? Are you ready for a marriage? Are you ready to handle the demands of a marriage? Are you ready to do that? That's one thing you should consider. How mature are you? So it's not just enough that you are all built up physically. You also need to check for maturity in other aspects. Are you independent? That's another thing to think about. Are you independent? Are you responsible? Are you able to tackle the stresses and the hassles and the demands that life throws at you? Or will you go running whenever there's trouble? And will you go looking for a senior brother, a big uncle? Mommy, my wife told me that I'm not giving her enough money. Oh, or something else. I mean, other stuff could come up. Can you handle it? Are you emotionally stable? Are you mature enough in all these other aspects to be able to address the issues that you face, rather than buckle or start running all over the place looking for someone to help you, right? And then some people also look at this, and it is important. How much money do you have? Now here, the range is so broad, right? Because you find some people who say they need to be able to build their own house, have their own car, have a business running, all of that is set, then they can get married, okay? People have their preferences. That's okay if that's your preference. Okay. Then another one is people who say, I want to be able to take care of the family, and that's important. So at the least, this is what I would say. At the least, you should be able to take care of yourself. Okay, you should be able to take care of your personal needs, right? And then you should be able to add +1. So if you're a guy and you're sorted, you're able to take care of yourself. Okay, if I bring an extra person into this house, assuming that you were going to take care of all the financial needs and so on, would you be able to handle it? Can you handle the extra mouth to feed? Can you handle the extra toiletries you have to buy for a certain duration? Can you handle all of that, right? If you are able to, then you can actually consider getting married, okay? And hey, this is when you're looking at yourself alone as an individual, just me. Somebody says, Grace says, what if I want to build with the person? Exactly, that's where I'm going to, Grace. So if you're looking at just you, that's one part. And this is usually the worst case scenario, where you are trying to say, okay, what if this person doesn't come through on their part? Will I still be able to handle family life? Because it's one part to say we'll build together, which is important. That's when you're looking at the whole thing as a team effort. But there's also the part where you need to be able to handle the responsibility for the two of you. If the other person, for some reason, wasn't able to pull their weight, or you get what I'm saying, right? So you need to be able to, hold on. Yes, so you need to be able to consider those two options. Okay, all right. So part 1, I am able to take care of myself and one other person. Part 2, we can build together, and that's always a good place. You work with the other person and you build together. You look at your joint resources and you build together. And you really have to have the team mentality, right, when you're looking at that. Because if you, and look, check, because this person may be thinking we can build together. Check the other person's ideology and their beliefs about the whole thing. They may be thinking they should handle it all alone, in which case nothing will happen until they are okay. So just check, okay? Check. This whole issue of how much money, sit down, discuss this, talk about it. What kind of quality of life do you want to have from the beginning of your marriage? If you want it to be that from the moment you get married, you have everything, then you may try to do what the other guy did, build your house, build your business, have your cars, have everything before you get married, okay? But if you are willing to build, right, start small and grow over time to the ideal place where you want to be, then you can actually start earlier and then work towards your desire in the future. Okay, now let's look at something else. Having children when you can still play ball with them. So this is something I heard somewhere. Some guy said he wants to get married early enough so that he'll be able to play ball with his sons or with his kids, so that it's not a case of daddy, come and play, oh I'm too tired, go and play with your cousin, or go and play with whoever. So there's the part where you're considering physical fitness. So how fit will I be? So because of that, you now start factoring, how early do I want to get married? If I want to be able to do this kind of thing and that kind of thing with my children much later in life, then what age do I need to be when I get married? Okay, so that's another one. Emmanuel says, hold on, let's see what Emmanuel says. Talking about marriage, someone said one must marry one's friend. Does that mean my husband must be my circle of friends? It's not a must. It's not a must to marry your friend. You can marry a perfect stranger. You can meet somebody in the mall, and over time you grow to like the person and love the person and see that you people gel enough to be able to spend the rest of your lives together, build a future together, and you go ahead and marry the person. It doesn't have to be your friend. It's just that when you look at the matter of friends, right, there are a lot of benefits, right, because you already know the person to a great extent, and that makes stuff a little easier to handle. You have fewer surprises and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'll go to the next one. starting a family early enough so that you can finish paying school fees before you retire. So if you're doing the regular, I work from after school and then I continue working till I retire at 60, for instance, then you look at the financial plan. Okay, at what age will my kids be in primary school, in secondary school, in university? When will I finish paying school fees if I have 3 children? So you have to check, when will child A be born, child B, child C, right? And around what age will they finish school if you are going to be a responsible parent and give them the minimum, which is at least give them an education, right? So you need to factor that in. At what age do you need to get married so that you will be able to finish paying your children's fees before you retire, so that you're not paying university for university education and so on from your pension. Okay, so that's another thing to consider. And then the last one that I have written down here is being able to, if you're a guy, being able to, this one is just, maybe you call it sentimental, being able to walk your daughter down the aisle on her wedding day and you are standing tall. Imagine that. So rather than who gives this woman or this bride away, I can't recall exactly how to say it, and then the father says, I am the one. If for some reason you would like to, come looking really cool and sharp, and you walk straight and everybody like, is that the groom or who? And they say, no, that's the father of the bride. Oh yeah, correct, father of the bride. If that's what your desire is, then you need to also factor that in. Okay, so now there's one that I discovered yesterday, which I didn't pay attention to back in the day, but then it's really important, and that is fertility and how it affects age, right? So I found out yesterday, I attended a webinar and they talked about fertility and how it affects the ages of women. How age affects the fertility of women and men, and the fact that you need to take this into consideration. So now, studies have shown that a lot of career women are having issues with fertility, and that is partly because some of them have chosen or decided to build careers first to a point, and then after that they now start family life. And most times, by the time they're ready to start families, their fertility has reduced and they may now need a little help. And the help isn't so cheap. In fact, the help isn't cheap. It comes at a cost. So, well, I guess you'll be prepared if you happen to be in that situation, because you probably have already built a good enough financial base to get the necessary assistance if you are in that position. But what the doctor who was educating us said was that if women paid attention to this, then they may adjust their decisions a little bit to try to start a family earlier when their fertility is still high enough, when age has not taken quite a toll on it yet. Okay, so if you look at what you have, right, the statistics, I'm just reading this from the Better Life Channel website. They said age affects the fertility of men and women. Age is the single biggest factor affecting a woman's chance to conceive and have a healthy baby. And they said a woman's fertility starts to reduce in her early 30s and more so after the age of 35. And then they said the risks of pregnancy complications also increase as women age. And their last comment here in this summary says male fertility decline is more subtle, but a man's age affects the chances of his female partner conceiving. And then it says here male age over 45 years increases the risk of miscarriage and so on, right? So it's quite interesting to think about this. I mean, I don't know how many ladies actually sit down and think about this. They used to tell us your biological clock. Well, hey, this biological clock thing is not just to scare you, it's a reality. It's something that you actually need to factor in, something you need to pay attention to. Something else they wrote on their site is a woman in her early to mid-20s has a 25 to 30% chance of getting pregnant every month. And fertility generally starts to reduce when a woman is in her early 30s, and more so after the age of 35. By age 40, the chance of getting pregnant in any monthly cycle is around 5%. So, my sisters, think about this, right? So if you want to have a family, if you actually plan to have children, then you can just factor this into your decision making process when you're thinking about at what age do I want to get married. Now, I know that there are lots of people who feel like you are completely not in control of this, right? So, but then there are different things that you can do to try to help the process, right? So all the different things you know to do, from praying, fasting, asking your friends to connect you, checking available resources to know where to meet people, as they say, going where the fish are, being in places where you have more opportunities to interact with the kind of people you're interested in. You can start all of those things earlier, right? So it's something that you need to pay attention to. So my question still remains, how early or at what age do you want to get married? So I want everyone to be a little more deliberate about that decision. Don't leave it to chance. There's nothing wrong, right? You don't lose anything in having a desire and having a plan and in hoping and praying towards it and in even working towards it. You don't have anything to lose. So I encourage every one of you who is planning to get married at some point in this life and start a family at some point in this life, I encourage you, sit down and think about this, make a decision about this, and begin to pray and walk towards this coming to pass in your life according to your desire. Remember what the Bible says, ask and it shall be given unto you, right? You have not because you ask not. So there's room to ask. There's room to ask for divine intervention, for God to grant you the desires of your heart. So that's it for today on Common Sense for Relationships. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, I encourage you to do so. Just look for Anete Bature. You'll find me on YouTube, and you can see a lot of the things that I have shared in the past. And you will also be notified whenever we put up something new. And if this has been helpful to you in any way, or you know someone that it will add value to, please like and share so that we can get the word out and people can gain and be better. If you feel like there's something you don't know, just look for it. The information is out there. So now I've spoken about fertility and age. If you have concerns, just do the search. And by the way, there are tests that you can do to know how much more time you have as far as that issue is concerned. So you can talk to your healthcare provider. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for being with me during this time. Take care. Take care. Take care. Take care. Bye. Bye. And have a great weekend and a great week and a great month whenever you're watching this. Bye.